So the big question is this: how are those in the self-storage industry like us going to be successful in today's market? That's the question, and this show will give you the answers. My name is Jim Ross, and welcome to the Self-Storage Show.
Okay, here we go. Hope everyone's doing all right and joining on. Looks like we got some people coming on live. That's always fun. All right, well, it's towards the end of the week. That's where I blinked and this week is already gone. It's already kind of a blur last week after doing the ISS in Vegas, and that's always my gosh, that's always a blur. That was a crazy time. What about you? That was more people I've seen in a long time in one place at a conference. So that was kind of fun seeing excitement and seeing old faces and meet new people and all that. So hope everyone that went to it had fun. Getting ready for the Utah show tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. I had to think what day it was. So yeah, we're in full swing with all these shows coming up and education that's out there. So hopefully everyone's making the time and set some time aside to learn and grow about the industry. So that's kind of what I want to talk about today is looking at self-storage, and if you're getting into it, great. If you're already into it, how to kind of look at it through a little different lens and really, maximizing your operations, which definitely is going to impact the value of your property. And I spoke a little bit about this at the ISS show last week, but it's something I do all the time. In fact, I always set aside about 1 to 2 hours of my day, pretty much every day. Even when I'm on the road, I try to set some time aside and I do these value creation sessions. I'll give you a link here in a little bit, but yeah, you just go on. We spend about an hour. And a lot of times, it's like I said, most of the time it's existing operators and owners that are just looking to try to maximize stuff. And we spend an hour, and that hour goes by like that. So we can usually only focus on just a few items, but those few items can have a huge impact on the value of your property. So I want to kind of go through some of that with you right now and hopefully kind of spark some ideas. Maybe in your own operations, you can start looking at things that might work out better for you. So give me 1 second here. Share my screen. Okay, we're good there. Okay. All right. Make sure everyone can see this. Yep, we're good. So again, for today's session, what I really want to convey is how actions in your day-to-day operations that can have a huge impact on the value of your self-storage business. And again, we're just going to scratch the surface on some of these things, but again, enough to spark some ideas for you. So right now, I'm really going to focus on areas that have created the biggest value impact as I started going through and implementing new operational procedures in my sites. As many of you know, I've been doing a lot more of the automated unmanned operations for a lot of the sites that I manage for my third-party manager company. And in doing so, this is going back a few years, but as going down that path, it really forced me to start looking at my procedures and operations I had to change some things up, quite frankly, in doing it this way. And it forced me to kind of almost start from scratch in a lot of ways and looking at how I was viewing day-to-day operations. And I started going through that, as I'll show you here in a little bit, but it's just kind of crazy, the value impact that it had on especially some owners that they had the mindset of, hey, I want to sell. Okay. And in this market, cool. If you can take it, get it for what some of these sites are going for. And transitioning a lot of these sites over to this operational model and just having that value add just go crazy. They were very excited for the amount of money they were getting paid when they sold their site. So anyway, let's jump into it here. First off, when I started switching over to this automated model, is the biggest impact is payroll, quite frankly. I mean, that's just huge. And what I mean by that is when I always look at when I'm changing these sites over to automated model, especially when I'm talking with owners, kind of came up with this formula or this diagram that really kind of helped visualize. I'm much more of a visual person to kind of show you. Basically, it's 3 steps when it comes to unmanned operations, and it's separating responsibilities for greater efficiency and profitability. Okay. Step 1 is, okay, you don't have a manager there anymore, and they're not there, 6 days, 7 days a week if you're running double managers there. So we like to look at that customer management. That's step 1 of segmenting that out, and that comes into play with the call center. Okay, and so call center, live, remote manager, however you want to phrase it, but people that are there taking the calls 7 days a week, doing the move-ins, not just saying, hey, go to the website, click there, you can reserve a unit, you can rent online there. No, they're walking you through doing the whole thing what a manager would do over the phone. Okay, renting that unit. They're also doing collection calls, of course accepting payments, everything that manager would do. Now we're just doing it via the call center, the remote manager, however you want to phrase it, and getting that in place. And I'll show you here in a second kind of what the pricing is. And then next part of the payroll is, of course, the maintenance tech. Just because they're unmanned doesn't mean they're unmanaged. So they don't run by themselves. You still need people there that are doing the site checks and doing the property inspections and the cleaning and repairs and helping with the auction prep and all that's involved in the boots on the ground thing. Okay. And I got asked this quite a bit when I was there in Vegas, but every site's a little bit different, quite frankly, of what is entailed and how large it is. But I've been finding on average anywhere from like 20 to 25 hours a month. Okay. So we're talking, 5-6 hours a week for a site that's, about 300 units. Okay. And you kind of see the correlation there. And I'm paying anywhere from $20 to $25 an hour. And I'm doing it strictly like a 1099 contract labor. That's how we're doing it. Just plain and simple. And then step 3, we're not going to get into that too much today, but that's, the property management. That's over making sure everything's working. All the operations, everyone's talking with each other, communications going, making sure everything is running smoothly. And as we're kind of getting into is really their job is there to make you money as an owner. And so it ties everything together. I'm really focusing on every single operation of, again, boosting your revenue, which is going to boost the value of your facility, which is what we're talking about. So going back to that, the first thing of kind of cutting out payroll, so no longer having a manager there, we're doing the remote call center. This is just kind of put in perspective. This is from the expense book that comes out every year. And so we're just talking just total national averages. All right. So you look on here, just do a total national square feet, 66,448 is national average times $1.19 per square foot, which is the expense for payroll. National average is 79 grand. That's crazy. But that's that's your payroll, that's your workers' comp, that's your all tax and burden. It's all lumped in together. For my sites, again, that's 79 grand a year. Just put that in perspective. $6,500 a month, okay, in payroll expenses for a traditionally staffed facility. My sites were a little bit less than that I was managing. I want to give it an example. This is one of the sites I took over about a year ago that they were just at a place in time where they had been having kind of a revolving door of management companies and of managers going out there. And they were just kind of at their end, their wits end. Like, we're done. We're looking at selling, but we need to get this place better, better operation, kind of tighten everything up before we get to that point. Like, all right, cool. And sat down, we kind of looked over the pain points, what they've been going through with management and managers at the site. I'm like, all right, have a leap of faith. We're going to do this operational model at this site. And I explained to her, looked at it right now, what they had been paying in payroll was $4,854. That's what they had been averaging for years at this site. Like, all right, we're going to take that out. We're going to do this unmanned model for you. And it ended up being, with the call center / remote manager, was $800 a month. Is what ended up that total being. And I'll flat out tell you, we had like an internal call center, and we were using Call Potential kind of as that plugin with call center agents and the software. All right, almost like a CRM. So I was $800 for that a month. And then our on-site maintenance tech, we were paying $600 a month for, again, doing the on-site security checks, helping with the walkthroughs, turning the units, make sure they're clean for the next person, the usual stuff. And so with that total, we were, now went from $4,854 to $1,400, saving them, $3,454 a month. And again, that's a hard number. You're looking at that, great. I always like to put on a cap on it. Okay. And that just really helps, especially when I'm talking with owners of, speaking of value, because again, for owners, yes, this is a business. Yes, this is a revenue generating investment for them. Again, this is an investment. Yes, it's a business. I'm in it as an operator and management company. This is our business. Okay. Running as a business. Owners, yeah, it's much through the lens of this is an investment. What am I getting on return for my money? And so a lot of that time, if we can talk in terms of value of your site and what actions are having an impact on the value of your property, it tends to hit home a little bit better sometimes. So yeah, for this savings of $3,454, that just goes right to the bottom line of their NOI. And granted, this operating expense of 35% is kind of the standard in storage, but this is also including payroll in those expenses. So this actually could be even a bit lower, which would impact this even higher. But I'm believing at 35% because that's what everyone knows and trusts and understands. And doing a cap rate of 6%, okay? And even that's being conservative. Some of these cap rates right now, I've seen at 5, 4, even below like 3.75. I just saw one sell for the other day. It's nutty. But keeping it at 6%, cool. By switching to this model and then saving this payroll, increase the facility value of $450,000. Okay. And it's eye-opening. I showed them that. They're like, hey, let's go for it. Let's give it a shot. And go to the punchline. After doing this for this one particular location, yeah, we made more money than ever, renting up the facility even better than we ever had before. Because again, as we'll get into it here, we weren't missing phone calls. We were actually even doing better customer service, frankly, than they were before. So now we were renting more units, making more money, and yeah, they ended up selling and dancing off in the sunset with a big smile on their face. They were happy. So part of this, I'm going to this kind of model, is definitely online rentals. Okay. And there's no getting around this. If your website doesn't allow online rentals, you're just missing out, quite frankly. And not only that, it has to be simple. Okay. I always like to go in and do a test run of renting a unit on the website. If I can do it under 5 minutes, cool. All right. And it's intuitive, you know where to click. Again, we're in the industry. So we kind of already know where to go. If you really want to do this, have a friend, family member, whatever, go through and just say, hey, rent a unit. Granted, you don't have to go through the whole thing where they have to end up paying, but get to that point to see how long it's taking, make sure it's intuitive. That would really help you when it comes to your layout of your website and making sure it's very intuitive and simple to follow along on how to rent a unit. Okay. Sometimes I think us in storage, we tend to get in our own way and try to get too fancy. And no, this should be pretty simple. Okay. Of where to go and where to collect or rent one. So anyway, going through this and just kind of showing the value impact of, and this is very conservative, all right, of just missing 4 rentals a month, 1 rental a week, by not having a simple process on your website to rent a unit. Okay. Very, very conservative. So again, I'm just going to say, $150 is my average rental price at my facility. Okay. So if I miss 4, so 1 a week of that, $600 a month. There's for the year, $7,200. That's $78,000 in value. If I can just get either, if I'm missing those calls, or if I can just get one extra rental, by making it better, that's the impact it's having on your facility. That's probably a better way of looking at it, is if you make it more intuitive, make it easy, and just get one extra rental a week, okay? That's the impact it's going to have on your facility. And many, many, many times, it's just going through your website and just, can we make that rent now button bigger, brighter, better place to see? Make sure you don't have to scroll down and find it, okay? It shouldn't be a treasure hunt to figure out how to rent a unit. So that's one thing I would recommend, is look at your website and rent a unit today, and make the notes and get a hold of your website provider and make those updates if needed. Hopefully it's a smooth process. You don't have to worry about that. Going back to the call center, okay? This part is huge, huge, huge. Because, traditionally staffed sites, cool. We're there 9 to 5, 9 to 6. After that, it goes to voicemail, or it's going to go on my lunch break. It goes to voicemail, and I'll call you back. Or if I'm busy on the site, it's going to go to voicemail. We all know very rarely is a potential customer going to leave a voicemail. And if they do, well, bring on the phone tag. It's just to me, if the phone doesn't get answered, it's a lost opportunity. If it's a lost opportunity, it's a lost rental. If it's a lost rental, here's the value impact it's going to have. Just like I said, missed calls equals missed sales. So just to make it hurt here, an example financial impact of just one missed sale. And again, we're going back to this example of, an average rental price at your facility is $150. Okay. That's $19,500 in facility value that you just lit on fire. It's not going to happen anymore because of just one missed call. And so I hadn't done a call center for the longest time. And so, except when I started doing it, years ago, I could immediately see, just like that. Wow. Okay. Of just some of those missed calls that were happening and all that, I could easily see just the impact that was having on the facility, on my owner's just day-to-day operations. And so, yeah, I would never look at a site anymore without having a call center to make sure we're not missing a single phone call. Many times now they're 12-hour days, 7 days a week. Sometimes a little less, depending on Sundays and holidays and things like that. But much, much better than it was before, by trying to do everything myself and having that manager on site wearing so many hats. Okay. And not to get off on a tangent real quick, but look at the manager. Traditionally staffed facilities, that manager, they are the salesperson. They are the collection agent. They are the maintenance man. They are overall customer service. They're wearing so many hats that, of no fault of their own, things are going to happen. Things are going to fall through the cracks, and sometimes it's not fair to them, and it's not fair to you as an owner that's want to maximize every single thing you can for your operations and the value of your property. So it's just a no-brainer using that kind of service. All right, moving on. Consistent auctions. Okay, this is another, when I'm going through and I have these 1 hour value creation calls. And I tell them, send me a manager summary. I'll look at a manager summary, and I can usually tell about 95% of what's going on the site just based off that one report. And many, many times, the one thing that jumps out at me is this collections is not being done on an efficient and consistent basis. So, honestly, I always just tell them, cool, don't overcomplicate it. Just, that's what I do too. Cut 1 month and process 1 month, sell the next. Cut 1 month, process everything that next month, sell the next, and just keep that cadence. I don't care if there's 1 unit or you're 5 or 6 units. Doesn't matter. Just keep with that consistent basis, because again, the whole point, especially right now in this market, I mean, I don't know about you, but there's so many locations that I have, and everyone I'm talking to is, we're keeping that 92 to 93, kind of 90 to 93%. I usually keep it in that range because I still always want to have units to rent. If I'm not doing that, I'm leaving money on the table. That's another topic. But the whole point of these auctions is we know once it gets to that 30-day mark, especially the 60-day mark, chances are they're not coming back. They're done. They're not going to rent their pay up on their unit. And so it's a matter of just being consistent with these auctions, because there's nothing worse than seeing a facility that's like, I'm 98% occupied. And I look at their numbers and they have 15 units that are 60 days and above in collections. I'm like, 90% of those guys are not going to pay it. It's just sitting there and you're burning cash. I'd much rather go to the auction, get them out, and then have a new unit to rent to someone that's going to actually pay you money. Novel concept. But just kind of, again, put it in value here. Sticking with that consistent schedule. And if you can just turn 3 units quicker, just 3 units on average. So again, just having that schedule, you'll easily get to that point. They won't be hitting that, 95, 120 day mark of like, oh, now they'll be in the next auction. You just killed, 30 days that could have been generating revenue for your facility. So again, just turning 3 extra units at $150. That's $450 a month. Increase in value, $58,000. Okay, by just having a consistent schedule. So again, as simple as it sounds, if you haven't done this yet, put it in your Google Calendar. On the first Friday of every month, we're gonna cut and process. On first, second Friday of the following month, we're gonna have an auction, and just keep that schedule. The end. Don't want to oversimplify it, but it's pretty simple actually. A lot of these things that we're talking about, it's nothing crazy. It's nothing hard. It's not. It's just a matter of just implementing it, doing it, and keeping an eye on it, frankly. So, all right. This kind of dovetails into the auctions, and this is the value of automated collections. Again, this is all part of it, doing the leveraging technology to your benefit. I won't put a value on it specifically, but if you're not doing this, I don't understand why. It's practically free. It's very minimal cost for it, and it's basically going to send out the automated texts and emails to people that are late. It just helps reduce the collections a lot, quite frankly. So yeah, if you're not doing that, I just wanted to throw that in there. To me, it's better customer service. There's nothing worse than getting a collection call from somebody. Hey, we know they're not going to answer the phone. They're already dodging your calls. So you're wasting their time. You're wasting the manager's time doing those calls. The more automation it can be, frankly, the better. They'd much rather be able to get something on their phone and click a button and make their payment than, I don't know, being shamed, I guess, by having a live agent talk to them. Now, granted, we still get to that point, once we've actually exhausted these automated features, and especially once we're getting through auction process and that lien process. Yeah, we're doing the calls too, but the more we can do that up front and reduce the amount of people that are in collections or that are late, cool, the better. This is obviously a big one. It's probably one of the easiest things you could be doing to raise the value of your property. That's doing current customer rent raises. Okay. I just want to give some examples here, because again, it's not so much just exactly what's coming in per month, which is great. I mean, that's awesome. But again, going through this lens of what's the value impact this is having on the facility. Okay. And especially when I go over this with owners and back in the day, with managers too, to kind of show them this, it's eye opening. So just for example, I was wanting to show us one particular facility, did an initial one-time across the board rate increase. It was one of those things where they were just, usually I kind of scale up, I'll get into this here in a second, by facility, but in this point, I took over management, brand new, and they were under the market. So I'm like, oh, we just have to do it, across the board to everybody. And we did an 8% increase. And honestly, I think that was still being a little conservative, but that's the number we agreed upon. So we did 8%. Kind of a little smaller facility, 285 units that we raised an average of 8% increase. And on average is about $10 a month. Okay. increase. So we ended up being about $2,850 a bump per month that this facility was going to see, 30 days after these rate notices went out. Extra 34 grand a year. Boom. That increase in facility value that one time was $370,500 by just doing this one rate increase. Now, again, that was a one-time deal. Great. Now you have to just keep up on it, keep your eye on what you're going to be doing. So that's kind of what we'll get into in a second. We programmed in immediately doing the rent raises 9 months after they move in. And then every year after that they were going to get an 8% increase. Okay. So I did 8% increase 9 months after they moved in. I did an 8% increase every year after that. I programmed it in where it stops at 20% above the current street rate. So what that means is, say I have a unit renting right now for $100. Current customers that are getting rate increases, it won't go above 120. Okay. Kind of put that in perspective. And some people are like, oh, that's not fair. It's still supply and demand. Okay. It really is. People think, oh, they're going to look online and they're going to be like, I'm paying more than someone new that's coming into rent right now. Very, very rarely does that even happen. But if it does, okay, that might be the case right now at this point, but that's supply and demand. Mr. Jane or Mr. Smith, that's where it is right now. That could be going up tomorrow, depending on how many units we have left. So it does go up and down. Right now, you're consistent. You're getting a good deal. Okay. And again, I probably do a whole other session just on talking about rate increases, but it doesn't really come up. So this facility, we were averaging, after having this cadence and having this programmed in, about $180 in additional revenue each month. Because again, you're not doing across the board. You're just hitting those people that meet those parameters of 9 months after they moved in. So these rate increases are staggered. Okay, that's a better way of looking at it. That the rate increases are staggered. $180 a month, and every month we're increasing that facility value. $23,400. Not a bad gig for a simple thing to program into your software. Because again, all the stuff is, ideally, you shouldn't be doing this manually. It shouldn't be like, okay, on the first month, I'm looking at this stuff, all my sites. Very inefficient way of doing it. You can program these things as rules into your software if your software is any good. Okay. Dynamic pricing. What this means is basically, especially if you're in rent up. Okay, this is key, especially if you're in rent up here. I mean, a lot of my sites that I'm talking to are already 90% and above occupied. So we have to get a little, now it's just pushing those rate increases. But as you're renting up and hitting certain percentages, this is a great way of looking at it. And then dynamic pricing, again, it's supply and demand. Is a simple way of looking at it. The less amount that you have available of a certain size code, okay, well, now you're going to pay a little higher percentage for that. And again, this is something you can program in your software if it's any good. Just for example, like, hey, I hit 60% on this size code. So between 60 and 69%, we're going to bump it up 5%. We're going to bump it up 10%. I don't know. When we hit 70% to 79% of that certain size, and again, this is by size code, not by total occupancy. Okay, you're doing this by size code. We're going to bump it up, another 5%, 10%, 15%. I've gotten very aggressive sometimes in my rent ups on some of these things, especially if I just see, oh my gosh, my 10 by 20s are just like wildfire. This is crazy. I wish I could have, 100 more 10 by 20s, but I can't. This is what I'm dealing with right now. So as I can see in rent up, I've gotten aggressive. I've had some places where once I hit 70% occupied, I bumped it up 15%. Once I hit 80%, I bumped it up 25%. So honestly, by the time we've hit like 90% occupied, they're 50% higher than they were the people that came in at 40 or 50% occupied in that size code, because I can. And it's fun, watching that. You start seeing those numbers that are coming in, because it's not just rate increases. It's just they're paying more to move into that size because, hey, you're full in that size. So This is no different than hotels and going to concerts and anything like airlines, dynamic pricing. Everybody uses it. You should too, because hey, you're a real business, and yeah, this is an investment opportunity. So let's maximize every dollar we can. So there you go. Oh yeah, okay. I just did an example of a value of dynamic pricing over a 3-month period for this location. Make sure we're still on. Okay, here we are. Did 45 rentals. Okay, 32 of those rentals were at a unit size of 80% or higher in occupancy. So yeah, dynamic pricing was definitely in effect on these units. Those 32 rentals, they brought in an extra $800 above our normal rates, and so it's about $25 boost on average per unit. Again, we were doing this for all different size codes, but yeah, $800, sweet. That drops down to an increase in value of $104,000 by doing this simple dynamic pricing. And again, this is just something that you can set in your store software. Set it, not pretty much forget it, but almost. You still want to double check and things, make sure you're not too out of whack. But many times, I'm just setting it and sweet, just look at it every month and kind of see what results have come in. And lastly, with audits, okay, every week, or I should say every week, when I'm going on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, depending on what we're setting up when it comes to the management agreements and doing these audits, okay. When I do these audits, yeah, we're looking at the facility itself and what it looks like as far as physical and that lights out and this door needs to get fixed and that kind of stuff. But many times I'm using this opportunity to really sit down and doing these audits for operations of what I can be doing to, of course, be increasing the value of this property. Okay, and I just want. This is just a small little sample, but just real quick. Obviously, you're going through revenue. So you're looking at competition pricing. My street rates are in line or even higher in the market. And frankly, I think you should be one of the highest in your market because most people are full already. So cool. Price, be a lead. Price it higher than most people because you can get away with it right now. And if you're marketing, supporting, getting those extra calls at a higher rate, sweet, do it. Again, revenue, going through your dynamic pricing, the value pricing, going through your rent exemptions with your discounts. What's these people, do they have multiple unit discounts? And that's why they're lower on the street rates. Going through that unit by unit, okay? Having the consistent auctions, waiving these fees, cutting that down. We didn't even get into getting tenants on insurance and the value impact that can have. Plus just the peace of mind knowing that everyone's covered for insurance. Didn't even get onto that yet. We can go into whole sessions when it comes to marketing and your pay-per-click. Really going through that, make sure you're not wasting dollars, making sure your AdWords campaigns is really in line to maximize every marketing dollar. Because again, that goes right to your bottom line too. Going through your SEO and your website, your ease of use. Going through your Google business profile, getting reviews. And my eyes, cool. Every review I'm getting from my customers, that's going to lead to an extra rental. That extra rental, again, it's going to be what, $16,500 for value or whatever it was. It all ties together. This is all about generating revenue. Okay. Specials and discounts. Are you just simply doing a discount because hey, that's what we've always done? I've gone away from discounts pretty much altogether because we can right now because the market is so crazy. I don't need to be giving anything away. Telephone sales. Okay, are you listening to these phone calls? Are you recording the calls? Are you tracking these calls? What can be done on that phone call to make sure every call that comes in is converting into a rental and going through that process? And of course, doing the physical walkthrough as well, doing these audits. So again, every time I'm going to these sites, I just ask myself a simple question, what can I do today during today's audit that's going to generate an additional $500 in value, in revenue, sorry. Because that $500 in revenue equates to $65,000 increase in value for that site. So again, it's low hanging fruit. I put on there little sports analogies. I'm not looking for home runs. I'm not looking for the big thing like, oh my gosh, it's going to be crazy. I'm just looking for little singles, consistent singles, just little things, little actions that I can take to tweak, to make it more efficient. That's going to have a direct correlation on revenue that's coming in each month. And that's going to, boom, hit the facility value of 65 grand for facility value. If I can just get an extra $500 a month every time I'm doing an audit. And that's kind of my mentality when I'm doing that. So let me stop sharing this. All right. So yeah, I know we covered a lot there, kind of went through it fairly quickly, but this is what I do. Like I said, 1 to 2 a day, generally, depending on what my schedule's like. Free to go to it. I mean, this is how I learn too, as I'm analyzing where people are at right now, and I can start seeing how they can better optimize their operations and things like that. And there's a lot of times it's very apparent on what they can do to dramatically have an impact pretty quickly. Okay. Again, I do this for free. People ask, why are you doing this for free? It all comes back. I mean, I've had these conversations with whatever you put out, it comes back in some way, shape, or form. Okay. Yes, I'm a third-party management company. That's what I do for my own revenue. And yeah, these kind of conversations, it helps fine tune my own operations, frankly, of talking with other people and seeing what they're going through. And sometimes I get ideas from everybody else as well. But yeah, I mean, it's not a sales pitch. It's not like, oh, you need me to manage. No, I do these 1 hour sessions for free. I call them my $250,000 value creation. Let's say we can hit that value in 1 hour. And it's surprising how many times that we can hit that, as long as you take the advice of what we find, So it's all 3milestorage.com. You can scroll down, see that, and you'll see a calendar link. Just click a time that works best for you. And we do these Zoom sessions just like this, go through your operations and see what we can find. Some holes to plug when it comes to, building value for your property. Because I said, it all comes back. It's not a pitch, it's not a magic pitch, but more often than not, it's kind of funny to watch. Like, oh, you need to talk to my buddy, because storage, it's 2 degrees of separation. Everyone's knows everybody. So like, no, gotta talk to this guy, and then I'll talk to them. Hey, that might lead to a management contract. That's just how it goes. But I enjoyed giving these kind of this value and having these conversations, because again, that's how I learn too. It's how I keep sharp on everything. And a lot of times I'm like, oh, I haven't been doing a very good job on that one part. I kind of forgot about that. I'm not perfect either. And I'll go back and implement it in my own operations. So it helps keep me in tune with my own operations. So it's kind of funny how that works. So anyway, book your free hour session, 3milestorage.com. At the very top, you can feel free to it's free. Opt in to the Ultimate Self-Storage Management Playbook, where I put in all the stuff I've done over the years with summits and trainings and the book and all that kind of stuff. Scroll down a little bit more, and then you'll see where you can book this 1 hour session. So invite you to do that. Hopefully I brought some value to you today. We went a little bit longer than normal, but I really wanted to bring this up to you, and hopefully that can help shape a little bit more of a value lens on everything that you do when you're looking at your sites here. So I appreciate it. Thank you guys very much, and I will see you soon. Take care.
As a thank you for watching and listening, I'd like to give you the most incredible free gift ever, designed to increase your leads, rentals, and revenue for your self-storage business. It's called the Ultimate Self-Storage Management Playbook, and it contains courses, past summits, my book, and so much more. You can get all of this for free right now at 3milestorage.com. That's the number 3milestorage.com. Thank you for watching and listening. I'd like to give you the most incredible free gift ever, designed to increase your leads, rentals, and revenue for your self-storage business. It's called the Ultimate Self-Storage Management Playbook, and it contains courses, past summits, my book, and so much more. You can get all of this for free right now at 3milestorage.com. That's the number 3milestorage.com.